This is one of my biggest builds, as it was too big for the shed. It stretched my tiny budget of about €150 and had its fair share of disasters. We also changed the design halfway through the build and had some complex engineering challenges. The evolution of just having LEDs on the back of the desk to then making a small screen with a joystick was thrilling, and my son absolutely loves his new gaming desk. Join me for this build, it's super fun. We've gone for a corner desk, but he also wanted something that would match the decor as well. So he wanted a river table. I've done one. The desk I work on most of the time for my work, sitting at the computer, is also a river table. And I did it out of this quite a thin sawn timber with two live edges. Oh, and the blade's just broken right there. It was the first cut. So, yep, time to change the blade. So the wood that I bought here, it's I think it's like 15 mil, maybe something like that. It's really not very thick at all. So I've doubled it up at the edge, and you can see that's me doubling the edge there. And the reason is it's €15 for 2 meters, whereas the one that you would normally use for a river table is it's about 40 millimeters thick. And it comes in, I think, at the 1.5 meter, or was it 1.2 meter? I can't remember, but it's like €120, something like that. So it was well out of the price range for this kind of job. I really don't mind seeing the double edge. So that's what you'll kind of see, is you'll see how I've double glued it there. So I've tried to match it up by doing that rip saw down the length, so that you can then see the extra thick amount. I've left it for a few weeks. It's a little bit bent, so I'm just trying to sort of straighten it out a little bit, doing a little bit of machining there by hand, just to flatten it out a little bit. Not that it matters too much. It's all going to get glued down to the plywood that you saw me cutting out in the first place. And that plywood was basically a large 8x4, 2,400 by 1,200, and I got the shop to cut down cut it down to a square of 1,200. So now you'll see here, this is the double layer that I've put on, and I put that double layer on so it covers where I'm going to cut out. So as you'll see, that part's going to get cut out. So we initially worked out with my son what the shape of the desk would be, and that part there is how he decided that he wanted it a little bit flowing. So that part is going to get cut out. He also he changed the design, and what he wants a flip up part at the edge. So you'll see me going to the store and buying some more wood later on. And right here, what I'm doing is just gluing that onto the plywood, so that it all gets put together nice and solidly. And the great thing about this expanding foam, this expanding glue, is it's a really great waterproof glue. And it fills in all the tiny gaps, and that's great for doing a resin pour, because you know nothing's going to escape. So as you can see here, I've glued on that front part, glued the back part on. I've slid it up a little bit, just so I can get a nice clean edge, and it's great there. You can see all the glues coming out, so that'll need cleaned up, but at least I know that it's all sealed underneath, and it's not going to be leaking anywhere under here when I do the pour of the resin. So that's really awesome. And then the next part here, I was going to use a track saw, circular saw. I don't have a track, but a circular saw, just to clean up that edge. But what actually I found much better is using a router, just to make that edge clean. So you'll see me doing that in a second. Now just cutting the other side of the table. So this is the right side, the long length on the right side. You'll see there's a bit of a curve to the wood. It's been lying around for a few weeks, so it's got a bit of a curve on it. So the idea now, just to try to get some of that curvature away, I'm just going to flatten the bottom of the wood. As you can see, the table's really wiggly, the plane is probably a little bit blunt, and I don't have any fancy power tools that will do the job. I suppose I could use my belt sander, but it makes a hell of a mess. And the idea is just to knock that high spot off, just so it makes it a little bit easier clamp down and glue onto the plywood. It's for my family. As long as it looks nice and functions well, I'm more than happy with it. And it only has to hold a laptop and my son leaning on it, so it's going to be plenty strong enough and just look the job really. Trying to keep the budget down is the overriding factor here. So I do a few passes, just very gently, taking the edge away, but you get the idea. That's the plan. Some more of that expanding glue, just to make sure it's all nicely sealed underneath and it's held down onto the plywood. It's a very humid environment here, so that expanding glue does really, really well here. And a little bit just on the butt end. Um, I think maybe I could have used some regular wood glue on the end there, just to kind of make the joint a little bit cleaner and nicer, but either way is fine. And then chopping off the end, now that that glue has set, chopping off the end of the long run, just to give a little double edge right at the end of the board. And that's so when I machine the end, you can see that it's got it looks like it's got a much thicker wood than it does. So that's the plan. And all glued up here, you can see why I've cut the end piece off, because it then matches up the grain of the wood. So it just looks a little bit more like it matches. It's never going to be perfect. You're always going to be able to see if you really look, but it just gives that initial glance that it's a nice piece of thick wood. So the grain here really matches quite well. It's not always the same like that. On the other side, there's a little bit of a knot, I think. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, it doesn't always match up perfectly, but that's absolutely fine. You can see I've tried to fill in a tiny gap here with some sawdust and glue. Um, and it's just about ready for that last final piece. However, even though I bought all of the wood to do this long part, um, my son has changed the what he would like to see of the table, and he wants a down piece right here, so that when his friends come over, he can flip up the end and then have an extended part of the table. Plus, I think it's a really beautiful idea that we can use these pieces of wood here to be like it'll almost be like a river table with a waterfall. As you come into the room, it's going to look absolutely amazing having that end piece going all the way to the floor, or more or less all the way to the floor. And I think it's going to make it look fantastic. So I love that idea of the design, that it goes off the edge on a hinge, and then we can flip it up. I think it's going to be fantastic. So the plan now is to leave those bits of wood and not use them for this end, because the grain and everything will match up. So this is also going to have a downward piece. So it goes down, and then a tiny shelf just for his putting his mobile phone on, or his glass of water or something like that next to his bed. So it's time to get some more wood. Here we are in the DIY shop, going through all of the different pieces of wood they have. For me, this is fantastic value, being able to have a live edge, long piece of wood like this. Some of them are a bit rough, as you can see. This one, I think, is the one I'm going to choose, because it's got a really nice staining within the wood. Okay, so we're back home with the board, and here's the mistake I made with the other ones, and that is that this board is really nice and flat. Definitely, I should have bought the boards on the very same day that I was going to smooth them off and then glue them down, because as you can see here, there's a little bit of a gap here, not a gap, sorry, like a height difference. This one's got some really nice staining around here, so I'm going to try and make sure that this part is in the main part of the table. Well, a little difficult to film because of the space. You can see the space I've got. This is just outside the shed. There's not enough space in the shed to have the desk, so I'm just working outside, and I've been planing like mad for an hour, trying to smooth it off. But that's it glued together now. So I know I've got the final piece to go along here, so that's great. They're the clever ones in the shade. Ruby, Ruby. She's ignoring me. He's in front of the fan. Cool. All right, awesome. So a little bit of a gap there, but it's not too bad. Doesn't quite match up because obviously the boards are thicker, but it should be okay when I do the rounding, when I do the cutting. My son didn't really know what kind of river table he wanted. I think initially when I spoke to him about it, well, when my wife and I spoke to him about it, blue was the idea. It was going to be a nice blue kind of river table, standard. You know, the one I have in my office in the shed rather is it's a black opaque one. I went with opaque because I did exactly the same thing. I used a very cheap thinner wood rather than a big thick wood. Since then, he had changed his mind a little bit because there's a few things in his room which are kind of like um, browns and reds, and we had a discussion about it, and it went from a blue river table to a red river table to a lava river table. So, um, what I'm doing now is I'm just checking before I go and spend €100 on resin. I've got this old resin that has been hanging around the shed, and I wanted to make him a few design ideas so that he could choose what sort of thing he would like. As we were talking about lava, I did a few Google searches, few image searches for lava river tables. There's not too many out there. There's a few. I saw a few design ideas, people putting LEDs in the resin, things like that. And I can't. I must. I certainly don't. I'm not that creative, so I didn't come up with the idea. I'm for sure. And I've seen some lovely where they river tables where they put the metal in, you know, like with the molten metal, and the edges all burned. And I also saw that the river table. Well, actually, it wasn't a river table. It was just a resin table done by Cameron at the Blacktail Studio, where I think he burned the whole thing. And then when he sanded it down, it took away some of the black burn part, and he was gutted because he didn't like it. But I thought it was amazing, so I really liked that one as well. But I bet seeing the whole thing burned, I bet it was amazing to look close up because when you really see these charred edges with the clear resin on them, it's it's just amazing to be able to really see the fine detail. Super amazing. So I love this burned edge. I hope my son likes it too. This is my favorite one that I'm doing. I'm also going to do another one without burned edge, so he can choose. And then I'm also going to do a different kind of river on the other one as well. So just something slightly different. So here are the two little tests I've done. This one worked really well, and I always do it with my little. I've got a set of scales for measuring out, but for this one, I did it by volume because I had a new box of resin, and I thought, oh, these are cool. They it works by volume, so I did 50 and then 25. It has not gone well, so that's really interesting. I don't know how long it will take to set, but the first one's set really hard. This one's not so good. So Yeah, I mean, I'll leave it out for today, but they're only tests, so it doesn't really matter. This one, I didn't burn the wood. I need to scrape off this top level here, just so that my son can see the sort of the red. Um, Honestly, I think he'll go for this one. It's a lot nicer. The burned edge looks amazing. So I'm putting these in the sunshine. It was very popular. The non-set epoxy was very popular with my kids. They really thought they enjoyed the prodding and poking. So this is the one he liked. It's not smoothed off. I didn't sand it down or anything. I just wanted to show him the color and show him what it's like. So what I did is a test here. So I burned it quite a lot, and then this one I sanded down. I wanted to see what it would be like when you sanded down the burn bit. Just, I didn't want it to look really weird, you know, like anyway, so it turned out okay. After it's been, well, that's a better without the sun. So it's okay once you actually sand it down after it's been burned. It's not that bad. He liked the color. This has got a 2-layer approach, and that gives you a bit more depth. And obviously I can't really have a lot of depth because of the thickness of the wood I'm working with, but doing it in 2 layers with a transparent top coat allowed me to, even though I put some color in the, so I used this one here. This is also not set, but anyway, this is what I've kind of added on the top. It's like a red ink rather than the mica powder, and that gave it a little bit of depth, which is really nice. He also gave me these little stones, which he bought. He wanted to put them into the river, but actually he's changed his mind a little bit, and he said he'd like them put into the wood somewhere. So I'll try and work that out somehow in the design. The puppy's more interested in the table. I need to make sure it's as close to here as possible, that it is in line with the center line, and yeah, because the bottom piece here is 11 centimeters. So when I cut here, I need to make sure that I still have double layer. So the double layer goes to about here, so I'm still fine. But I want the double layer of pine to be visible, because that's the whole point of putting it on, to make it look like it's a big thick piece of wood. And here's that burned edge being created on the table itself. Just using a bit of brass here to protect the wood, to protect the plywood underneath. I've not done a great job, as you can see. I brought the metal out after I'd already started, so you can see I'm really going for that fully charred edge, because when that gets filled with resin, it looks amazing. So I really wanted it very, very burned on the edge. If you would like to see that very piece of metal being used again, the next video I make is for a fish tank stand, and that piece of metal gets cut up and used to make the handles. So not wasting a thing here. My son also came up with another great design feature here on the inside of the corner, so the inside of the river. It's actually rounded off. So the outside is a corner, but the inside is rounded, which I think looks really nice here. But the first job is actually to seal all of this charred bit with clear anyway. So hopefully this kind of stuff here will be able to seal it up. Yeah, wow, it looks beautiful. I think it's going to be really exciting. This kind of, I can't even see the screen because yeah, it's on the camera. Okay, that is just going to be amazing, amazing. And that's why I think it's going to be really important to get, to cover the wood with an opaque layer, but the last 5 mil, you definitely want translucent to be able to see that beautiful charring. So, well, it's so hot outside. I don't even know when the resin is starting to get hot. But definitely mixed it well. And it's been going between 2 cups. So let's just make sure we get resin on all the burn bits. Oh, it's lovely. It's soaking into the wood lovely. That's great. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, sorry about that. So I've given it the first layer of sanding. So we've put the clear resin on here, soaked in. So now it's stabilized and strong. All the charred bits. What I'm going to do now, I didn't go down too far because it's going to have another layer anyway of resin. But I just wanted to get rid of any high spots. And then what I'm also doing is I'm going to be putting resin just down in here to stabilize any of these little parts. I don't know if I'm going to sand this completely right down and make it absolutely smooth, or whether I put resin in and then smooth off the resin. I'm not sure about that part. For this part here, this is where I've messed up a little bit. I haven't managed to get the boards exactly together, so that's going to get wood glue like that. Now they're fighting over the stick that I gave them. That's just amazing. This one's all full of resin. I don't need to do it here, so I'm just gonna press that in now. There we go. So that's now full of wood glue. Let me do this bit up here. Squeeze that in there as well. It doesn't really matter too much. The corner, he wants it cut off so that he can put his cables down in the corner of the where it meets the wall. These ones, what do I do with these ones? Maybe resin. Very opaque. I like that. Much more opaque. So I'm just putting some yellow in and just kind of trying to move it around a little bit. It's so runny, this stuff. It really is. I love the way that it sort of separates. So I've made up a few mixes now, thrown them in, and they all sort of seem to kind of react amongst each other, which is nice. Different amounts of mica in each one, I think. I think I might make up a black and put that in as well, just to give it some interest. But it's looking nice though. Yeah, it's looking okay. Well, the sun was hitting this all day, and it went hard in about 3 hours. It's supposed to it's supposed to set in 72. So this all went really hard, and then I was like, oh my god, and I can't change it, and I can't put swirls in it. Disaster. I put loads of swirls in this side, and then I realized this was rock solid. So I've made another pour, and I've poured on this side, and actually I quite like it. So then I was trying to do the same on this side, and so basically what I'm doing is I'm just using my little air gun just to blow a little bit. But the problem is this is the part where it's like half set and half, you know, that kind of, you know, that feeling in the middle where you're kind of like, you either feel like an artist or you feel like you've not got a clue what you're doing. And I'm sort of balancing between those two feelings right now. I hit the air gun a bit too much by accident, and I blew a big hole in it. So I had to fill it up again, and then I was like, oh great, I'll make sure I don't do that again. Then I did it over there, and so it's been fun and games here. But I'm just trying to kind of, I put some clear over this as well, just so I could try to sort of mix it in to make it a little bit interesting. I mean, it is quite interesting. There's some interesting parts to it, so it should be nice to look at. This I'm not very happy with. It's a bit of a mess, but it's interesting how it's very crazy there and then flows here into a... This part's just adorable. I love this part. And this part I've just done in a panic trying to make it like this, and it turned out because I poured all three colors at once and then blew it with the air gun. That's the part right there where I blew it with the air gun and blew it all over the place, covered my nice t-shirt in resin. But actually I think I'm preferring this side. It looks beautiful in the evening sun. But anyway, the whole lot is now going to get a coating once this is dry, probably in 30 minutes with that sun. And you can see I'm going to have to sand all this down where I've blasted by accident. So it's at this point, as I'm putting on the transparent part of the river, where I was initially going to cover the entire thing with a good 3 or 4 mil of resin. I had plenty to use. I bought myself another packet. I think it's about 50 euros. It would have easily covered the whole of this top with a good few mil of resin, including filling the river. But let's just say mistakes were made. It was the fastest one I could get delivered on Amazon. It was not the usual one I buy. It was a deep core resin, which means it takes a long time to dry, long time to set. The one I normally used, it takes a few hours to set, and then it's like really gloopy and syrupy, and I used the aluminium tape pressed on really hard around most of the molds that I've done before, and it holds it for a good half hour while it sort of gets really syrupy and doesn't leak. However, because this one was a deep pour, it stayed like more liquid than water for like many hours, and it dissolved the glue on the aluminium tape. And let's just say that even though this is a very cheap table, I did lose a certain amount of resin from this particular part of the build process. A few of the recent projects I've done have included some electrics, and what better opportunity than doing another project and including something a bit exciting. So the initial plan was just to put some LEDs along the back of the desk or maybe in the resin, like routed underneath the resin, something like that. But I didn't want to lose strength on the actual table itself, so I thought I'll mount them along the back. That'll reflect off the wall. Absolutely fantastic. So you can see what I'm doing here is I am just soldering the pins onto this ESP32 board. And this board is a little bit smarter than an Arduino. So I've added a little joystick and I've got Gemini, or I think it was a mix between ChatGPT and Gemini. We've created some really nice menus, some themes, some color themes on the LEDs, but also some cool stuff like some games, some really basic games that you'd see on an old arcade, things like that. So super exciting. It goes great with the little screen that I'm also going to mount on the desk. The code is, as I say, copied and pasted from AI. I will leave a link to the Arduino file, so you can use it. You can make it your own, change it. If you just copy paste it into Gemini or something like that, and then ask for changes or any modifications you want, that's pretty much the way I do it. Um, and that's it, really. As I'm going to be doing another top layer on the desk, just to cover over and to finish off, I came up with a bit of a weird, a weird and wonderful idea, and that is putting a layer, because it's such a weird kind of shape, to try to put the like a piece of wood around or something like that. But I'm really interested to see if my little double layer of silicon, because the edge of the table, I'm going to round it over anyway. My son said he wants it really rounded over on the edge of the table, so it's nice and easy to work with. So there's going to be no fancy edging, just a great big round over bit. So I'll be for sure, see, is there a gap there or not, you can't tell, but I'll be for sure testing it with water first, because the whole top has had some resin on it already. Then I can quite easily just double check it with water, and then let it dry off. It'll dry off in about 20 minutes here once I got rid of the water. So well, it always looks really pretty after a resin pour. Yeah, it's just super lovely. So the pour is I, I tried to pull out a dog hair when it was too hard. So it needs hello. No, don't pull that. I was just pulling this up and I thought, oh, let me take a video of that. But the dog thinks it's really exciting. Sorry, she's been swimming. Okay, so this is actually, now that I'm pulling this off now, and it's coming off really not well. It was when I started. I pulled. Okay, let's try again. It's too long. I'm gonna take it off from the edge here. Oh, there we go. 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 Oh, it's so nice. So it's leaving. Obviously, there's a part where there's no silicon. Sorry, not silicon. Where there's no resin, but that's all going to come off anyway when I router the edge over. So. Ooh, if only I'd done the whole thing like that, it would have been super satisfying. Is it going to come off nicely? No. No, I didn't. Okay. Good enough. Cool. These are looking really nice. It's going to need a bit of sanding from the dog hairs that have come in it, from the dead bugs that have come in it, but you know, whatever. It's all good. It's all good. It'll polish up nicely. It'll sand down nicely, but wow, look, it's still got so dusty already. It's quite pretty dusty around here. But look, it's like, if I put my finger there, you can see that it's actually a little bit further away from the edge. So there's what's happened is that when I did the river in the middle, it's shrunk a little bit and it's curved the wood up on either side, and that can happen because the resin shrinks. But it's just really beautiful. I'm absolutely loving the clear over that. The sky is really bright today. I'm really loving the clear over it, so you can really see the depth on it, and it's just really pretty. And I'm happy that it's actually curved, you know, because what's happened is now this part is much lower than the top, where it's actually there's almost nothing at the top here, but this part here is really deep, and so it's really pretty to look at when you're sat here, and you can kind of see that right underneath. Absolutely lovely. So now it's time to get all the molding off and tidy it all up a little bit. I'm going to give it a couple of days just to toughen up so I can sand it and all the rest of it. So here is the rounded over edge now, so you can see a little bit of the resin there, but once this has got a finish on it, you won't notice. So that's the top. I'm going to do the bottom now. I don't want it to be sharp at the bottom either, because that's where your legs go, so I'll be doing that in a second. And then here is the area that I will route out to have a piece of glass. So I bought one of these small photo frames, so the glass, just rather than buying a piece of glass, this is 99p, so I'll take the glass out of that. I'll route the space that we need for that, and I need to just work out how deep I'm going, and then that's it. So I measured it down so it only takes off 2 millimeters. So you can see there, it's just gone down 2 mil there, and I'm going to do the whole thing. It needs a little bit of work here, just tidying it up, making sure it's fitting the board and then the glass on top. And you can see there that I've drilled some holes. It's a little bit messy, needs a bit of sanding there and there. And then with the wires go through to the bottom. I've mounted it on a board, but honestly, I had so much trouble soldering the board on onto the screen. I should have just put the wires straight onto the screen, but I was trying to do the right thing, and my soldering iron is too big, too hot, too heavy, so it was kind of a bit tricky. So. And now for the buttons. This is a small piece of Lexan. I'm just cutting a piece off to drill the button holes and make a little mount for those buttons underneath the table for the brightness and select buttons, to be able to go through the menus and just have a direct brightness control for the LEDs. And I wanted to do it out of this transparent Lexan because it's nice and big and chunky, but it won't draw the eye too much because it's transparent. So. And you can just see here that the LEDs are mounted along a groove along the back of the desk. I just used the router. So this is the, I have to change this. I put a little bit of resin in there because this part here wasn't quite perfect. So I tried to fill it up with resin and it went everywhere. So yeah, so this is the little joystick is in here now. So you can see the joystick. And if I change it to rainbow, there you go, you can see it's reflecting. There we go. So what I've done is I've taken the piece of glass and I've sprayed the back of it. It got covered in dust. It took ages to dry and then got covered in dust, but it doesn't really matter because the only part we need is this side, and you can't tell once it's painted. So that covers up all of the workings. And I'm going to take this off now and just polish it because I wasn't sure what size hole to put in it, but actually the hole is exactly the same size as this. Really, is that's what you do, is you just make it the same size as that. Even though the knob comes off, it doesn't really matter. You just you put it on and you slot that on top of it like that. So yeah, so I'm gonna take off the little the copper thing. The other ones now are mounted down here, which is really nice. And so yeah, I can do brightness with these ones here. And so all that's left now is polishing the top. But actually, because I have this little layer here without anything on it and it's just pure wood, I need to give a finish on that. And to match this resin, I'm just going to do a 2-pack across the whole thing. So I probably won't polish it up. I'll leave it at about 300 grit, and then the 2-pack varnish on top will cover everything. So, and it will fix all of this part here where it's just bare wood. So yeah, and then at the moment what I'm doing is this part here. I need to match up this 45-degree angle with the new part, and here is the new part. So this part here needs to be, which way around is it? This way around. So this, try not to smash everything up. It's not really fully set, but this gets a 45-degree angle on top as well, and it just gets mounted there. So I've done all the measuring and everything to make sure that the river matches up with this end here. Hopefully it'll work. We shall see. It needs a tiny bit more resin. As you can see, there's not quite enough. So I'm going to do that now. Should be right. But I might just finish it off with the sander rather than take it off. I don't know. There's a little bit of fettling to do. If I just bring this here. So I need to tidy this a little bit up, make it a little bit smoother. It's still got the wood cuts on it, etc. And the reason I'm taking it from here to here rather than doing a 45 degree is because I didn't want to lose, it would be like 4 centimeters, another 4 centimeters. So we'd lose like 4 centimeters of the river table by doing that V cut. And that's a lot of resin. So 4 centimeters of river is quite a lot. Sorry, 8 centimeters of resin is quite a lot. So I'd much rather just have it like this. And then I'm going to round this over from here, nice like there, so it'll be pretty. And and then smooth it all off. So it'll look perfectly good for what I need, without costing the extra. So I need to just tidy up that end a little bit. I might darken this. I'm not sure. I'll burn it because I don't want to set a fire. Oh, hello. But yeah, this just needs a little bit. You know what? Measure twice, cut once. Yeah, I almost cut this and this rather than this and that. So yeah, it's looking okay. It's looking okay. More than happy. And here it is with a fresh coat of varnish. I used 2-pack varnish. It's got a couple of little spots in it. I don't know if I can see from the... can't really see from the light here. But yeah, there you go, you see. So it does need a rub down, probably 500. It must have pulled something in the air gun, in the spray gun. I don't know what it is. It's pulled something in, but a little sand down with 500 wet and dry will fix that. So I'll give it till tomorrow to get really hard. And yeah, look, you can see the little things are set in nicely. The little stones that he wanted in there are set in nicely. Also, I sprayed. Hello, doggy. I sprayed here a little bit of black because the wood was not burned here. So I put a little bit of black spray paint there, just to sort of finish it off. I don't know if it maybe needs another layer here. It's soaked into the end grain, I think, so maybe another quick layer of the varnish. But yeah, I think it's quite nice. So the time to now make the steel brackets and get it mounted in the room. Well, I didn't make the brackets yet, but I got overexcited for putting it in his room, making sure that that it fits nicely. And one thing we did learn, actually, by putting it on the legs for the moment before I make the brackets, is that when I mount it, I kind of probably want it a little bit like further away from the wall, you know, like just like it is now, so that you get to see the lights. It's much nicer when it's darker in the evening, when he has the room a bit darker. You can really see it reflecting much more up the wall. But the brightness, I don't know if he has it. Oops, that's the wrong one. Brightness, there we go. Yeah, I had it really, I turned it really low last night when he was going to bed, so that's why. But yeah, it's kind of cool. It looks really nice in his room. He started to use the little table for his phone. This has only been in one day, and he absolutely he loved the games. He loved the games last night. He was playing with the games last night on this, yeah, just yeah, he really loved it, and especially this one with his name as part of the oh, game over. Okay. Yeah, just really the flappy thing. Oh, I did a little flappy bird for him as well. Actually, I can't remember if I've shown this previously in the video, but I did a little snake, and all of that was just coated, and I put it into the, you'll see when he crashes, the snake thing, when it crashes, you get a little and then when it eats the thing, the light flashes green. So yeah, and then the presets. So if I go back, presets, and then you can change. So rainbow, that's rainbow. Lava, that's a shimmering lava, and then you have the flowing lava, which I quite like. Thunderstorm is really great. That came from Gemini. That was Gemini. No, sorry, ChatGPT thought up that one. So very sweet. It's like blue all the time, but then you have like white flashes, and it really lights up the room as a little bit of a thunderstorm. It's very, very cool. Heartbeat, like that. Strobe, it was too much for both of us. The Knight Rider one like that, which I really like, goes all the way around. But then there's another one. Oh, the ocean was very nice. There's a sort of a shimmer. Twinkles, very lovely. Meteor, similar to the Knight Rider one, but it's kind of longer and a little bit more digital looking. And then this one, Goes both ways. I really like this one. Yeah, very cool. And then got the different effects, so you can sort of fade it, and then go to the color. I put in the red, green, and blue, white, but then also I did a color picker, so you can kind of choose any color you like, or just go to green, etc. Go back to the color. I can't remember what he had it at. It was like that, I think. And then info I put in. Look at these two. Um, and then info I put in just the current brightness, which effect number, and the idea was to put the IP address in there to make it easier to do the HomeKit thing. But I never ended up connecting it to HomeKit. It started getting a bit complicated, so this is fine. I mean, for just having lights in, it was absolutely fine. But yeah, very happy with how it's turned out. So the next part is making the brackets, welding up the brackets. I don't know if I'm going to do it in this video or not. I might do a separate one, but yeah, it turned out great. I'm super happy. He's very, very happy. And additionally, the only other part missing is the drop down on the left. So that's going to take probably another 30 euros worth of resin, 40 euros worth of resin maybe. So that'll be for in a few more weeks, I think, when the budget allows. And I'll have it on the left-hand side hanging down, and then I need to work out something that'll keep it up when it's in use. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being interested in the work I'm doing. Once again, please give us a like, give us a subscribe. I'd love to be able to get this channel over 100 subscribers, which would be amazing. So I'm super excited to bring this new video, and I hope you liked it. Thanks so much, and thanks for watching. Bye. And I'm sure you've seen enough of the desk already, so we're, we're finishing the video with a small video. My cat's being introduced to my puppy, and they're learning to get along and learning not to eat each other, and they're doing really well. So they're growing up very fast, and they're firm friends now, that's for sure. Thanks very much.